Hello students, good morning. Hope you people are safe. Welcome to science class. Students, in previous session we learnt in detail of chapter 3 fiber to fabric, isn't it? So hope you people understood the chapter and also completed the activities and also the lesson notes, right? So now our journey starts towards the next chapter in physics, that is motion and measurement of distance. So in this chapter what are all we are going to learn? Come, let us check. Learning objectives. So in this chapter we are going to learn about the story of transport and physical quantities, estimation, need for accurate measurements and standard units. So let us start the lesson now. Students, there is always a need for people to move from one place to another and also to move the things from one place to another, isn't it? So for example, you also move from place to place, like it may be to school or shop or out of station, right? So which we call it as transportation. So now say, what is transportation? Yes, transportation is a way of moving people and things from one place to another. Transportation. In the olden days, humans walked to move from place to place. That all of you know, isn't it? So later they used animals like donkeys, horses and camels for what? Yes, for transportation, as you can view in the image. Next, the discovery of the wheel led to the development of carts that could be pulled by either humans or by animals. So when animals were used to pull carts, humans found that transport was very faster. Later on, boats or rafts were used to travel on the water. Again, the steam engine was invented. So come, let us learn more about the steam engine. Steam engine. In 1712, Thomas Newcomen invented the first steam engine. Next, the steam engine was developed further by James Watt in 1775. So this led to the invention of the steam locomotive. So as I said, the invention of the steam engine made transport very faster. Trains and ships that were powered by steam helped transport people and also material over long distance much faster. Engines that were powered by petrol and diesel were invented later. It then became possible to build cars, trucks, aeroplanes and so on. So other modes of transport are like spacecraft were introduced in the 20th century. So students, here we go with the story of transport. Come, let us watch.
We shall learn about the different modes of transportation. How do you spend your holidays? Many of us go for a picnic to a distant place or visit a relative who lives in another village or city either by traveling by bus, car, train, aeroplane, or any other vehicle. But can we go somewhere when there is no bus, no train or car? No. We cannot go anywhere as walking on foot to longer distance isn't possible. If we see all the vehicles used today, car, bus, auto rickshaw, what is common in all these? Yes, it is wheels. So, one of the major inventions in the history of humans is wheels. It is the invention of wheels which led to the various modes of transport which we see and use today. So, you may wonder, then how did the people travel or carried goods from one place to another in olden days when there was no bus or car? Or how did the humans come up with the strange idea that a round thing would roll and carry things forward? Let us see how it all started. Well, in ancient days, life was hard. People used to walk on foot and carry load on their back. So, longer distances could not be covered easily. Later, people learned to domesticate animals. They used animals for carrying loads like donkey, horse. Even today, we can find elephants, donkeys carrying heavy loads in the villages or forests. Our ancestors might have seen the log of wood or stone rolling down a hill. It gave them the idea that the circular piece of log or stone can easily move forward by rolling. They cut circular piece of log or stone and thus made a wheel. Now you know why wheels are circular, not square. Then they realized that if they fixed this wheel under a log or wooden plank, it would be easy to carry heavy load on that plank. Thus, first cart was made. Slowly, they made wheels better and better. The ancient wheels were made from heavy stone or wooden log. They were not perfectly round. Humans gradually made perfect round wheels from the wood. Later, wheels were made with spokes which were lighter but strong and durable. Heavier loads and greater distance could be covered easily using the animal-driven carts and carriages. Nowadays, there are wheels which can even carry weight of huge elephants like the wheels of big trucks or trains. While wheels kept rolling on land, what about water? You know, our ancestors might have seen a log or big branches of trees floating on the water. It gave them the idea that they can cross the river on floating logs. Then they used hollow trunk so that they could not only sit properly with less danger of falling in the river, but also carry loads. Thus, they made small boats using the hollow trunks of the trees. Seeing all the fish swimming so fast and effortlessly, our ancestors realized that if they made boats in the shape of a fish, that is, the shape of the boat was streamlined, the boat could also go faster. They also learned to make better boats by joining several wooden planks. Thus, they could make bigger ships from wooden planks. They made ship with sail for longer voyage in the sea. This beautiful ship was called caravel. Then came the steam engine. An engineer named James Watt first made a steam engine, and later the steam engine was made so powerful that it could halt many carriages at a time. Thus, train was born. Then came the bicycles, motorcycles and the automobiles. And thus, wheel kept on rolling faster and faster. So, minute observations and imagination of our ancestors changed the history. We all feel bad when we see the birds flying as we cannot fly. So, the Wright brothers invented aeroplane at the starting of 20th century and humans started flying just like birds. Now, humans can fly out of the earth and reach the moon in a rocket. Even birds can't do that, huh? That was all for today. Bye bye, kids.
Students, now you understood about transportation in detail, right? So next we will learn about physical quantities. So what is physical quantity? Yes, a physical quantity is a quantity that can be measured and expressed in numbers and units. So we make many measurements in our daily life. For example, a tailor measures the length of a cloth needed to stitch a shirt. Then a vegetable vendor needs to know the weight of the vegetable that he is selling. Then a milkman measures the volume of the milk that he gets from his cow. And a student preparing for an exam measures the time like he or she takes to write an essay or to solve a problem, right? So what is the conclusion now? So what is physical quantity? So any quantity that can be measured is called a physical quantity. So as we discussed in example, like a tailor needs a measurement of a particular person to stitch a shirt, right? And suppose if you go to the market to buy vegetables, so how you will buy the vegetables? You can't ask them like 10 potatoes or 10 tomatoes, isn't it? So you want to give them the weight. So for example, if you need a potatoes, like you should ask them 1 kg of potato or 5 kg of potato. So here, so you need the weight of the vegetable, right? And in the case of milk, so milk is measured in the volumes, like you should ask milk in a liters, isn't it? Like 1 liter of milk or a 2 liter of a milk, etc. So any quantity that can be measured is called a physical quantity. And examples are like length, weight, volume, time, speed and temperature. Okay, now next we will learn about estimation. Estimation. In our daily lives, we commonly use estimations. Estimations is nothing but it is a rough measurements. So it is enough if we estimate the distance to school. For example, if somebody asks you the question like, what is the distance between the school from your home? So you can give the rough estimation that it is about 2 to 3 kilometers. Like we do not calculate these values to the exact meter or second. For example, the amount of sugar needed for a cup of tea. Then the number of days a tube of toothpaste will last, or the approximate time it will take to reach a certain place, or some examples for a rough estimation. So estimation is a useful and necessary skill because in daily life making a rough guess is often enough. Why? Because it saves us the time needed to measure something accurately, isn't it? So estimation also gives us an idea of whether we are right or wrong when we measure or calculate a quantity. So next we will learn about accurate measurement. So before we check about accurate measurements, we will learn about what is measurement. So measurement is the act of comparing an unknown quantity to a standard unit. So as we discussed in the examples, like we need a measurement to buy some materials, right? So some of the examples of measurements are length, mass, volume, time, electrical charge and temperature. So now let us check accurate measurements. Accurate measurement. In many cases, an accurate measurement is required and a rough estimate will not be sufficient. For example, a doctor needs to measure the exact temperature of a patient. Like a doctor cannot give the rough estimation of a patient, isn't it? And a scientist has to know the exact amount of reactants needed to carry out an experiment. So think that it is possible to count the grains of the rice. You will not be able to tell the shopkeeper that how many grains of rice you need, right? So you will not be able to count the milk also. So rice and milk are not able to count, and these are not countable quantities. So therefore we denote this in terms of units. For example, as we discussed, we will ask the shopkeeper that you need 5 kg of potatoes, or if you need rice, so you will ask 1 kg of rice or 1 liter of milk. So what is this kg? Kg is nothing but kilograms. These are the units used to measure specific quantities. Students, why it is important that these units should be accepted internationally? Yes, that's because let us say that you are in India. So if you want to buy milk, you will ask, I need 2 liters of milk. So what if you go to Europe? So there also you want to buy a milk. So they should be able to understand how much 1 liter means. So therefore liter has to be internationally accepted unit, so that people throughout the world should know how much 1 liter is. That is why units are important to accept internationally. Got it? So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this session. So we learnt about transportation and the story of transportation, and steam engine, who invented steam engine, and then physical quantities and what are the examples of physical quantities, and estimation. So how this estimation is implemented in our daily life, and then why it is needed for accurate measurements, isn't it? In the next session we will learn about standard unit, non-standard units, writing units, measurement of length and so on. Students, go through the videos once again and note down the important points also, students, and don't forget to read the textbook also. Meet you in the next session. Take care, students. Thank you.